right, today we're going to take a look at a report from Headset on cannabis market overview for March. It's the North American cannabis update for sales. That includes California and Colorado, Nevada and Washington, Illinois, Massachusetts, Oregon, Michigan, and then our neighbors to the north, Saskatchewan, Ontario, British Columbia, Alberta. We're going to include total sales, year over year sales growth, a lot of different metrics coming up. Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your cannabis business podcast, diving into Headset's North American sales update, starting with total sales month over month. California just crushing it with $400 million for the month. So by comparison, you're looking at Nevada that relies heavily on tourism. They're at 63.8 million. There's just no comparison. Washington, as I said before, 117 million for the month. We don't have a lot of tourism and just kind of go when we want. Colorado at 145 million. So Alberta, 58 million, could be from just a lack of stores. Not really sure. Pretty low though. Not as low as Saskatchewan at 11 million. Ontario 74 million. With some new rollouts, they're going to be a lot higher with their total sales. They're going to be peaking pretty soon. When I'm talking about Illinois at 121 million and Michigan 100 million. Oregon, they're about the same as Washington in terms of how long they've been on the market and a mature customer segment. So they're sitting at 92 million. So in terms of year over year sales growth, not too bad. Looking at California, 37% increase. In Colorado, again, 29, Washington, 23. Nevada, though, 19% year over year sales growth. So they aren't growing because they don't really have the tourism yet. Although I have seen reports as of recently, it looks like they're getting pretty crowded down there as of March. So it looks like some people are getting some fatigue on being locked down and they're going to be bouncing out. Year over year sales growth is a lot higher in the emerging market of, Michigan at 154%. Massachusetts is only 46%. So I'm not really sure what's going on with that. Um, there's a lot of universities around there, but if the kids aren't in school, I'm not really sure what's happening. Illinois, on the other hand, 93%, which again is probably going to be people wanting to try stuff out, as well as obviously people coming in from other areas in other states that aren't legal. So before Oregon went legal, a lot of people came from Portland, and we still have people in Idaho coming over into Spokane, which is the second largest city in Washington state. So just real quick, year over year sales, 76% in Alberta, 94 in British Columbia, 139% in Ontario. That's pretty good. I'm assuming new stores. Toronto helps with that. Saskatchewan, 46%, not too shabby. On the other hand, Oregon only had 32% because they're pretty mature versus, that Illinois that had 93 or the Michigan that had 154%. The average basket size, though, is pretty interesting. So when you look at how often people go and spend, how much are they spending on average? Well, California is $65 because that's how much delivery is. So that makes sense. On average, people are spending just enough to get things delivered. Colorado's at $59. They have a more competitive market than in Washington because it's vertically integrated, so they can control the price from seed to sale. Nevada's $55, so not as high as they would like that to be. They want some tourists to be out there spending more, but surprised it's even that high, considering that a lot of people probably go in there and just buy a single, $5 or $10 joint. Washington's pretty low, $34.97, because we go and buy what we want when we want it. Just like Oregon, they're at $40.21. British Columbia is pretty low, and Alberta's pretty low, $44, $45 respectively. Ontario's 53 and 45 in Saskatchewan, versus Massachusetts and Illinois being 89 and 108. That's probably because, again, people don't want to travel. They don't want to stand in long lines, especially if they're crossing state borders. Michigan's at $77. So count of baskets is interesting. So with this next one, so count of baskets is the total amount of transactions for the month in millions. So Obviously, more people in California. So you're going to have 6.1 million transactions versus Colorado at 2.4, 1 million in Nevada, not a lot. Washington had 3.3 million by comparison. So when looking at some of our neighbors to the north, Alberta, 1.3 million, 900,000 for British Columbia, 1.1 in Illinois, 900,000 for Massachusetts. And then Oregon had 2.3 million. Still a lot of people going and buying there because it's so cheap, maybe $30, $40 for an ounce in Oregon. And in Michigan and Ontario, both at 1.3 million transactions. And Saskatchewan, pretty small, good little indicator for middle US rural towns, 200,000 transactions. Not a whole lot. Let's take a look at brand concentration. It's give us idea about how many brands are out there and how many they're competing against. 27% brand concentration. Obviously, the lower the better. Colorado has 30%, 40 for Nevada, still fairly new, expensive to get in. 22% for Washington. So we have a lot of brands. So you'll have a parent company creating a lot of brands. We have more brands than any other market. So it's very, very competitive, although, again, you have your parent companies that own all those other brands. Brand concentration or competition up in Canada, you're seeing 38% in Alberta and Ontario. Saskatchewan don't have information for. Oregon 23%, just like the US. British Columbia is at 38%, so not too bad for brand concentration. So looks like some of the highlights: 400 million in total sales for the month in March for California, almost getting to a half a billion there, with year over year sales growth in Michigan 154%. That's crazy. One of the surprising stats here, I'm seeing year over year sales growth for Illinois at only 93%. January and February, they were 340% year over year sales growth. So they're about 250% short of what they were before. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe some drastic changes or just the way that it's calculated. But the average basket, the average person going into Illinois at $108 is significant. So by comparison, in Washington, we're only spending $34. So those are some of the stats. Come back next time for the Talking Hedge to find out more. With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out. Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.